How are you? Missed you guys last week.
Yes.
So, all is well today. All right.
Yes.
Mike, you want to go ahead and get us started? Thank you very
Yes.
much.
Yes. And good morning, everyone. Welcome. I want to thank you for joining us. We are in a spirit of perfect harmony together here. We are the Center for Spiritual Living, West Georgia. We study and practice the philosophy and science of the mind we know as God. And with our spiritual presence and participation in our service this morning, we create a higher state of consciousness, rise above any negative energy that may have prevailed this past week, and manifest love. We know love is synonymous to God. We want to welcome back our Reverend Dr. Sandra Jackson, and at this time she will proceed with our service.
All right. Thank you, Mike. Good morning again, everybody. And so we want to get started without any more hesitation, shall we say. Okay. So put those cups down. Okay. And we are going to close our eyes and turn within and take a moment to pause and just breathe. Just breathe. Breathe in and breathe out. This is the breath of God. It's our evidence that we are alive. It is our evidence that spirit flows through us, that God in us, through us, is acting as us this day. So every time we stop, pause, and just allow ourselves to pay attention to our breath, we are connecting with our inner presence, with our inner spirit, with that energy, that life force that keeps us alive, that maintains our health and vitality in this world. And so we begin this morning with deep gratitude and thanksgiving that this breath of life is breathing us. This breath of life is allowing us to experience and express and be all that we can possibly be in this moment and in this day. And so as we join together as a spiritual community, we are knowing that this is the truth about us individually and about us collectively. Regardless of where we are, regardless of who we are all breathing that breath. And that breath comes from the singular source, the one source, making us all one in spirit, one in life, one in the totality of beingness. And so it is with deep gratitude and thanksgiving that I am so aware of this. And I give thanks that it is so for each one of us, and that each one of us is having a new awakening so that we too individually understand this truth. And as we reach out into our world and we allow everyone around us to rise up, because we recognize that the breath of life that is in us is also in them. And this brings about our oneness. And so it is with this thought and this idea and this belief that we now begin today's service, we begin today's collective gathering of spiritual beings in the recognition, realization, and the knowingness that this truth is flowing in us and through us and as us. And so it is. Amen. Okay. Good morning, Marcia. When you're ready.
Good morning. Good morning. This is our mission and our vision and mission statement. Please, read to yourself or say it to yourself as I'm reading aloud. CSL, West Georgia, is a joyful global community where everyone belongs. Through our unique spiritual teachings, we provide a safe environment to experience compassionate living. And our declaration of principles are: I believe in the unity of all life, and that the highest God and the innermost God is one God. There is one life of which I am a part, one intelligence which I use, one substance which takes form as my life. And so it is. Thank you.
Good morning. Unmute us.
Good morning.
Cynthia and Connie are soloists today.
Okay, are we unmuted? Good morning, everybody. I have a song for you by John Lennon. Everybody knows this song. When you are praying and meditating or programming, whatever it is you do, use your imagination to imagine a better world for us all. Imagine there's no heaven. It's easy if you try. No hell below us. Above us only sky. Imagine all the people living for today. Connie's going to talk about country.
Oh, yes. There was it was last year, Reverend Jackson gave us some information on bookmarkers. One of them said, silently pray for your leaders.
So we're praying for our country today. Imagine there's no countries. It isn't hard to do. Nothing to kill or die for. No religion to imagine all the people living all the world. Ooh, you may say I'm a dreamer. Well, not the only one. Hope someday you will join us, and the world will be as one. Imagine no possessions. I wonder if you can. No need for greed or hunger. A brotherhood of man. Imagine all the people sharing all the world. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. No, I'm not. Hope someday you will join us, and the world will be as one. The world will be as one.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Yes. But what we already know is we already are one, right? We just have to manifest that oneness into form. So our reader this morning is Sandy.
Good morning, everyone. This morning, this is by Ernest Holmes, and it's from a book called Good for You. Remember that every day is a fresh beginning. Every day our world is made new. It makes no difference how unhappy or fearful we have been in the past. Today presents us with a new opportunity. Today we may start living all over again. Hope will overcome despair, faith will vanquish fear, and defeat will be swallowed up in victory when we do this. The inner life is birthless and deathless. God is in us, as us is that which we are. The more careful the analysis, the more complete the conclusion must be that this is so. If this is true, and our mind does partake of that universal wholeness and is creative, then we are bound only by our own liberty, and bondage is merely a negative expression of freedom, our freedom under the infinite law of all life. We must not be disturbed by the contradiction of objective experience. We shall simply have to know that the truth we announce is superior to the condition which it is to change. We shall have to see that God in us recognizes God in the other person until God in the other person recognizes God in us. This cannot be done by the human will. But when we recognize the pure essence of the spiritual principle inherent and incarnated in each one of us, then we find that the thought arising from the atmosphere of spiritual realization has no adversary, and our recognition of God in others comes about automatically. Each one of us, in turning to the great inner life, is turning to God. One who penetrates this inner life will find it birthless, deathless, fearless, eternal, happy, perfect, complete. Gradually there dawns in our consciousness a sense that God, or the infinite, is flowing into everything we are doing. When is man divine? The Apostle John answered this question, "Beloved, now are we the sons of God, and it doth not yet appear what we shall be, but we know that we shall be like him, for we shall see him as he is."
Take a breath. You'll probably notice you were holding it. Take another breath. We woke up this morning, didn't we? We woke up and we were alive. And we didn't go, "Oh, I woke up, I'm alive." Right? We just woke up and started doing whatever we were doing. Maybe we took a moment to be grateful. Maybe we sat up in bed and meditated, or got up and got a cup of coffee, washed our face, brushed our teeth, did whatever we did. It's probably what we do almost every day. Today, we're talking about one journey, many paths for the month, and for today, a clean slate. And so this morning's reading, Ernest Holmes is talking about every day being a fresh new day, a beginning, an everyday new world being made new. Today is a day that we've never lived before. Think about that. Today is a day that we have never lived before. And yet, at the same time, what most of us do is we drag yesterday into today with our fears, our failures, and the false beliefs that we have held. And so, therefore, every day, even though it's new and it's a clean slate and it's blank and we can write anything we want, we very often write what we wrote yesterday. And that's why earlier this year, it was like we were talking about last month, we were talking about creating a vision, a new vision, because you have to, in order to not keep dragging yesterday into today, you have to have some place, a vision, some dream, some place you're going, some hope, or some desire out there in front of you that says, you don't have to bring yesterday and today. I remember when I was growing up and I'd go to school, and there were days when, I pretty much liked school. I went to several schools, before I went to high school, and for the most part, I enjoyed school. But every now and then, I did not want to go to school for whatever reason. I didn't feel like getting out of bed, or I didn't feel like taking a trip, or I hadn't done my homework, or whatever. It didn't matter. Maybe I just didn't feel good that day. So what I used to do is make up in my mind something that I had to go to school for. I wanted to see somebody, or I wanted to do something. There was some goal, some desire I had. I did not know it at the time, but what I was doing was creating a vision for that day. I was laying in bed, creating a vision for that day. And that's what Ernest Holmes is saying. We don't have to bring tomorrow into today. We bring it in because we don't know any better, or we're not willing to do any better. This month is Black History Month. And you've all heard of Frederick Douglass, I'm sure most of us have. Anyway, he was separated at birth from his mother, and his grandmother raised him. And the owners, his owners, the woman, the wife of the man who owned him taught him his alphabet. And from there, he taught himself to read and to write. Now, this was totally illegal at the time. They were not, slaves were not supposed to be taught to reason. Now, here's the thing, I just wondered, they had laws that said slaves were not allowed to be taught to read or write. They weren't supposed to be taught their letters or anything like that. And yet at the same time, there's this constant belief throughout all the slave owning areas in the country that all the slave owners believed that Black people were inferior mentally. So if they're inferior mentally, why are you worried about them learning how to read? That's just a question that came to me today. It's like, those two things simply go together. Anyway, let's move on. He had a vision, and his vision was for freedom. And I'm not going to go into all the intricacies. You can read about that, or watch on the History Channel or whatever. But the thing is that he had a vision, and his vision was for freedom. But he didn't have it only for himself. He also had it for other people too. Because when he learned to read and write, guess what he did? He taught other slaves to read and write as well. Now, what they did with it, I don't know. But he taught them. He didn't just keep what he learned to himself. And then he escaped. He managed to get to New York. But you see, even in New York, he wasn't completely free. The slave catchers were always on the lookout. And so he joined a group of abolitionists, and they raised enough money for his freedom. And in the meantime, he spent 2 years in England while staying away from the slave catchers. So he had this intricate life, but you know what? He came back, and guess what he did? He helped other slaves to escape, and he also worked with the government and with writers and with abolitionists and with anyone that he could possibly work with in order to have the whole institution of slavery taken apart. Because what he realized is that it wasn't good for anybody in the country. And he kept constantly bringing up the contradiction that Americans were living with, that on the one hand, they wanted freedom and said it was freedom for all people. And at the same time, they were keeping Black people in bondage, and they were not giving women rights either. I don't know if you know it, but excuse me, women couldn't own property. Okay. They had no recourse if their husbands mistreated them. Okay. And so the thing is that he woke up, I'm sure, every day to some degree, or at least through the course of his life, where he didn't let his fears deter him. He didn't let his failures deter him, because he tried to escape once and he failed. And then he didn't let false beliefs, the beliefs that he as a Black man was inferior to other people. He believed in what the Americans were teaching at the time, that all men were created equal. So stop and think about that. Here is this Black man surrounded by these beliefs that he is not intelligent, that he is not even of a human. He's not even human. So anyway, I have some other people though I want to ask you about. Have you ever heard of Charlene Mitchell or Margaret Wright? Do you know who Isabel Masters is, or Lenora Fulani? Do you know who Monica Moorhead is? Have you ever heard of George Chavez? But I bet you've heard of Carol Moseley Braun. And if you're living in Georgia, you probably know of Cynthia McKinney. But have you heard of Peter Lindsay? So these women all have something in common with Shirley Chisholm and Kamala Harris. They all ran for president of the United States. How about that? See, the thing is that every year when we're having these elections, who gets the advertisements? The two political parties, the Democrats and Republicans, but other people can run, and other people do run. Okay, we just don't usually hear about them because they're not in the news unless we're a part of the groups that they belong to. Charlene Mitchell in 1968, she ran for president on the Communist Party ticket. Margaret Wright ran on the People's Party ticket in 1976. And if you weren't in California, you probably didn't know about People's Party, because People's Party was what the Black Panthers put together. Isabel Masters started her own political party called, guess what? Looking Back. And she ran in 1984, 1992, 96, 2000, and 2004. Lenora Fulani was a psychologist who ran in 1988. And guess what? Her name appeared on the ballot in every single state. Monica Moorhead ran in 1996, 2000, and 2016 on the Workers' World Party ticket. And Joy Chavez was from Florida, and she ran in 2000 as a Republican, saying, we need to recruit a new brand of Republicans. She was a Republican. Carol Moseley Braun was the first Black American a woman who was in the Senate, but she ran on the Democratic Party ticket in 2004, and she lost to John Kerry. If you remember, she was in that race. And then Cynthia McKinney served 6 terms as a Georgia congresswoman, and she ran on the Green Party ticket in 2008. Peter Lindsay was too young to run, but she decided to run anyway. So she ran in 2012 on the Party for Socialism and Liberation ticket, and then Kamala Harris in 2019 on the Democratic Party ticket. Now, why am I telling you about these women? Besides that, it's Black History Month, and they're all Black women. Because just like Frederick Douglass, their fears, their failures, their false beliefs, the false beliefs that dictated their lives, did not dictate who they were going to be, or the beliefs that they held about themselves or their achievements. Doubtfully, none of these, except for Kamala Harris, even believed that they had a chance to win the nomination, yet let alone the presidency. But sometimes we do things because they're there to be done, because we have a clean slate, and we can do whatever we want. You see, sometimes it's not about the results we achieve. It's about the journey we take on that. It's about taking many paths. So all of these women contributed to the consciousness that created what we have today in the White House, well, in the vice presidency, at least with Kamala Harris. And it's an open door, but the door's been cracking a little at a time, little at a time, little at a time. Now, there are a whole lot of other people that we could use for examples along this line. But I want to talk about these people today because these are people that we don't necessarily know about. All of these women risked whatever it was they needed to. They woke up in the morning and said, you know what? I am not going to let my fears deter me. I'm not going to let failures or the possibility of failure get in the way. And I'm not going to allow any of the false beliefs that other people have about me to get in my way. Abraham Maslow had said that people have three basic needs. My translation: physical, food, shelter, and water. Excuse me. Social, a sense of belonging. Well, we need friendships and we need relationships. We need to be involved with other people. And what he called actualization, I call spiritual. That we need to have that spiritual connection. We need to have a realization that we are more than this physical body, that we are more than this social self. And that if God is in us, God is in everyone else as well. And that's why Jesus said, along with the psalmist, beloved, now, not tomorrow, not yesterday, not next week, not next year, not when you succeed. Now are we the sons of God, which means what? It means now we have all the power that we need in order to live the lives that we choose to live. Now we have that power. It's not something that we earn. Notice that. You don't have to be good. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to be a certain color or a certain height. You don't have to be a certain weight. You don't have to be a man or a woman. You don't have any conditions on you from God, except one. Are you ready for it? Be yourself. Be yourself. Nobody else could have done what Frederick Douglass did. And suppose he had let his fear get in the way. Suppose he failed the first time. You know why? Because somebody told on him. Suppose he said, oh, well, now somebody is going to tell on me again, so I might as well just quit this. We would never have heard of Frederick Douglass. And all the contributions that he made to our country would have been gone by the wayside. But we could have said that about Abraham Lincoln. We could say that about Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, or any of these other women. Anybody, we could say that about you because you too are making a contribution somewhere. Marsha's teaching school and she's touching kids' lives. And you know what? I taught school. We don't know where that is going to go. We don't know what those children are going to do with their lives. But we've taught them how to read. We've taught them how to write. We've taught them things that they need to know about living in this world. And guess what? We don't know where that's going to end up. Cynthia writes songs. She sings songs and they go all over the world. She has no idea who's singing those songs and what joy they're getting from them in the middle of the night, maybe. You know, we all have something, somewhere we're touching people in our lives. And we have no idea. Look at all these women that I read that ran for president. And none of them, some of them are dead now. None of them knew I was going to talk about them today. None of them knew that their names were going to be lasting longer than they are right now. And I'm not the only one who can discover that they ran for president. Other people can do it too. So, you know, the thing is that if we're just here thinking about our own little lives, then we're not allowing ourselves to be the full and complete expression that we are here to be. And we can't compare that to anybody else. I am not to be Frederick Douglass. Okay. I'm not even living in the same time with him. Okay. But we have other people who are living in this time who are doing things that have taken up the mantle from him and are doing other things. You and I may not be activists. We just may be school teachers. Well, let me think about that. School teaching is activism. Okay, all right. Because guess what? There's a new book called The 400. It's a really good book. You might want to read it. It's a bunch of essays, and it's a community of Black people who have written about Black experience in this country, and they're all descendants of slave owners. And they're not telling one story. And one of the things is that they wrote it as a community because here's what Ibram Kendi is one of the writers and the author or the as editors. And he said, we as Black people don't get to be individuals. We are part of a community. And so when one person does something wrong, then everybody kind of gets painted with the same brush. A good example of that is when Joe Louis won the fight, and all Black people everywhere celebrated because Joe Louis beat this white man. And then, oh, Joe Johnson before him, right? And that's the same thing even now. There's this tendency to see all Black people brush us all with the same brush. And so they've written this new book that's just come out. But last year or so, there was the 1619 Project. They're trying to not have those books taught in schools in Arkansas and in Iowa. Now, why do we want to ban books? Why do we want to ban books? Because we don't want people to know the history. There's something we don't want people to know. But guess what? We are all one, and they will learn it. It just takes longer. That's all. But we're all here together. Each and every one of us is here. I want you today to think about being on the top of that pyramid and being fully and completely self-actualized. Because if you're on this call today, your basic physical needs have been met. You have a roof over your head. You have food, and you're most likely not food deprived. You have internet service, I can tell, because you would be here with me today, which means you have a certain amount of money. Okay, there are a lot of people who don't have it. All right, so your physical needs are met. Your social needs are being met, at least by being a part of this spiritual community. Okay, there's a sense of belonging that you have. Look at Connie and Cynthia. Look, they rekindled their friendship over being singers in our group here. Okay, so we've met our social. We have friends, we have relatives. We are the reason that we are having so much trouble being isolated is because we are being separated from our friends. We have that covered. Okay, it's the top of the pyramid that we are working on. The spiritual part, the actualization, the part where we recognize who we are and realize it's everyone else's, and that we have something here to do in this world, that there is something that Spirit is calling us to do. And we have to go within and ask that, what is it that I am here to do? And then we have to let go of our fears, our past failures, and our false beliefs, so that we can begin each day with a clean slate and do what is there for us to do. That's us. That's our calling. We're not being asked to be Frederick Douglass or run for president. We're just being asked, do what is yours to do where you are. And in doing that, you fulfill the responsibility that you have to the realization of spirit, which is God in you. And if you wind up being famous, well, be sure and mention us, okay? Don't forget to donate to your local CSL West Georgia Community Church, okay? All right? And in the meantime, just be yourself. That's all we're asking. Be the best nurse you can be the best teacher you can be the best retired person you can be the best friend you can be. Okay? Be the best whatever. Just do what's yours to do. Every morning when you wake up, realize that you're waking up to a new day. It is said that everything is created twice. And yes, it is, both in thought and then in the results in the world. However, it is not duplicated. It is not duplicated. And so today is only like yesterday if we bring our faith, our fears, and our failures and our false beliefs into today. But in today, we have choice. We have choice, and we can live in faith and push those things aside. Ernest Holmes said in the reading this morning, the truth we announce is superior to the condition which it is to change. So Frederick Douglass had a truth that he announced, and that was freedom for him and his fellows. And he worked towards it, even though the appearances were to the contrary, because his first day of freedom was September 1838. He had quite a few years to stay with knowing the truth of his own freedom and the freedom of his fellows. So let's take these thoughts and turn them within. And let us know that right here in this very moment, we are free. We are free to choose. We are free to be all that we can possibly be. We have achieved that level of life that allows us now to actually live in the truth of life. That we have the power, the wisdom, the intelligence, creativity, because it is God in us, through us, and as us that is giving us that to live our lives fully and completely without restriction. Today, we have the choice to push those fears behind us, to open ourselves to this day and walk knowing that we have the power, the presence of God within us, moving us through this world and pushing aside the fears so that our faith may grow in proportions beyond our imagination. We are knowing that right here and right now, that no failure from the past can possibly interfere with the truth of seeing today in such a way that it blossoms forth with great, glorious, and beautiful ideas that the Spirit is implanting in us to express and experience in our own individual lives and the lives of those whom we touch. We are knowing that in this day, in this perfect day, there is no belief that we have previously believed in that we are wedded to. And we can release it, let it go, and allow ourselves to now be involved and inculcated with beliefs that allow us to see the truth in every situation. The truth with a capital T. The truth that is recognition that truly now we are sons, we are daughters, we are full and complete expressions of the living God in fullness, in truth, in goodness, and in the life that we live. There is absolutely nothing holding us back. We release anything and everything in our minds that has any thought of holding us back. And we'll break through the bonds of the past and allow ourselves to live this day as a brand new day And each day following as a brand new day with new choices, with new ideas, with new creativity, and with the realization that the power we have is not ours. It is the spirit within us that gives us the power, the energy, the enthusiasm, and even the ideas that allow us to be who we are. And today we accept the charge to be fully and completely ourselves, not somebody else, only me. I choose today to be the very best me, the very best I that I can possibly be. And so, knowing this is the truth and that I have the divinity within me to guide, to direct, to support, to love, and to be the full and complete expression in my life, moving in, through, and as me, I now know that this is unfolding perfectly in each one of our lives. And I bless us all. I give thanks for each one of us, and I know it is done thoroughly and completely and creatively. And so it is. Amen. Okay, so let's see here.
We have another song for you this morning. Such a beautiful message, Reverend Sandra. Thank you. So,
Yes.
this song was written by Jane Garrett and J.D. Martin, and it says that the world will be as one and we'll get it right, but it's all about love, right?
Yes.
Love yourself and be yourself. I had a dream, a vision, woke up singing in the middle of the night, 'cause the world had finally got it right. It's got nothing to do with history, of which side lost or won. It's got everything, everything to do with love. When you hear a voice calling somewhere inside you, saying we're not alone, and the music fills your heart with love. It's got nothing to do with boundaries or thinking that you gotta be tough. It's got everything, everything to do with love. But our differences behind us, the world looks new. Maybe something as simple as kindness will see us through. Well, it takes as long as it takes, and we know it, yes we do. When the moment is right, I hear somebody singing in the morning light. There is so much hope to hold on to, and so many songs to be sung. Right, Connie? Yeah. It's got everything, everything to do with love. Let's sing that again, okay? Right. It's got so much hope to hold on to, and so many songs to be sung. It's got everything, everything to do with love. Yes, it does. Oh, yeah. Oh, yes. It's got everything, everything to do with love. Everybody sing with us this time, okay? It's got everything, everything to do with love. Thank you.
Don't you just love it when they sing songs that are truthful? Yes. Alright. Oh, yeah. Okay. Good morning again to those of you who are still just waking up. All right. So, Marsha.
Okay. I didn't know if you wanted to explain something about the address that you put in the chat window first. Or...
Oh, I'll explain it after
Okay.
the announcement time. I just wanted to put it in then, when I had chance.
I know, so that you don't forget the information. Like I just forgot to copy the information that I normally.
Well, in that case, I will tell you, I'll give you some time.
Okay.
All right. So Linda Phillips, who is a longtime member of CSL West Georgia, made her transition last Wednesday. If you got the newsletter yesterday, I posted that in there. Cheryl McAuliffe has been with her for the last few months, checking her out because she fell, and I think I talked about her earlier this year or last year, because she fell and she was in the hospital for a while. And we've been bringing her food, and Lily and Deborah have been visiting, and so she knew she was going to pass away, and so she started making arrangements. And so Cheryl is going to be selling her condo, but in the meantime, she has a lot of clothes and kitchen items and household things. I mean, she had a life with things. And so she's asked, Linda has said that she would like the women in our church to take whatever we would like, in terms of jewelry and clothing and whatever else we would like. And then Cheryl said whatever we didn't want to bring back, so that we could take stuff to Goodwill or a thrift shop or, someplace so that we could dispose of her things. She has a daughter, but her daughter is not well, and she lives in Minnesota. And so this becomes our opportunity to, to support Linda in her, Linda in her passing, and Cheryl in her helping her. So I thought I have 423. You have 323?
Cheryl sent an email this morning saying the address was 323.
Okay, all right. Okay, then make that correction then. Okay. Anyway, this afternoon from 4 till 7, we thought it would work because that way it got around the people who were working in the daytime. And so if you can go by her house this afternoon, that would be real nice. And and also, Linda had a lot of plants and whatever, so you can go outside and choose plants. Yeah, some of them are in hibernation. So, take the pot and take it home and nurture it like she would, and you will have a beautiful plant this summer and spring. Okay. So, if you're going to be able to go, it'd be really nice if you put it in the chat, and then I'm going to go. And so Cheryl and I will have some idea of who to expect. Okay. All right. Any questions about that?
I don't know.
Okay. All right. Marsha, you ready?
Okay. Yeah.
Oh, I'm going to go. Ajika said what time I'm going. I'm going to go at 4.
Is it today?
Yes, today. Mm-hmm.
Okay, I thought it was Monday. All right.
No, we were thinking Monday, but Monday it doesn't allow for other people who are working to go. So we decided to just do Sunday. And then Cheryl's leaving town. She goes on an annual vacation that she's already scheduled. So that's part of the reason why we want to get it done so soon. Okay. Thanks for everybody for your help. Okay. All right, Marcia.
Okay, well, there you have it. There is the information for our conscious giving moment. Here I get to share the 3 different ways you can consciously give. If you would like to connect with us and give electronically, we use PayPal. There's a link in the chat window. The link shows up in our newsletter, and you feel free to go right ahead and do that. If you feel more comfortable mailing a check, the mailing address is on the screen. It also comes in our newsletter. And also, I always like to remind people that if they are an Amazon shopper, go ahead and just click the link that's in the chat window to connect with us through their donation charitable giving program called Amazon Smile. And then once you have said that CSL West Georgia is going to be your charitable community, then all you have to do is go to smile.amazon.com, and everything that you spend with Amazon, Amazon looks at that amount and then gives a portion of that amount to our center. So those are our 3 ways. And if we can all affirm together, I am grateful for the divine givingness circulating abundantly through my life, my community, and my world. And so it is.
Thank you so much. All right. Thank you all so much for being here today. And I see some names on the, like Keisha and iPhone D, who I don't know. So maybe you've been here before, but if not, would like to welcome you to CSL West Georgia. And please do come back again and again and again. We love having new people come. And once you come a couple of times, you're hooked, and you're part of the community. And we love you, and we want you to keep coming. Okay. So that's Kathy's friend. Thank you. All right. Kathy's friend, which one? D or Keisha? Dorothea, unmute your phone and introduce this person.
That's Kathy's friend. That's D. D Barrow. How are you?
Okay, D. You have to unmute in order to answer her.
I apologize. I'm here. Greetings, everybody.
Okay. All right. So who bought Keisha? Is that where is she? I think she left already. I was thinking Ursula had a friend too that she was inviting. All right, so that's our service for today. Next week we have a board meeting if you would like to stay after. Some exciting things are happening with our center. And so, but I'm not going to say anything. You'll have to come to the board meeting to find out. Yay, okay. All right, you don't have to stay for the whole board meeting, but you know, to come for a while and see what's going on. All right, and be a part of the community. All right, so Marcia, we have a new song. Are you trying to say something, Cynthia? Or are you just saying goodbye?
Oh, I wanted to tell everybody that our beloved Susan Mohini Kane, who sang for us, sang All Holy Night for Christmas, is going to be with us next Sunday. You don't want to miss that. She's got some special songs.
Yes, and guess what? Marcia's singing this month too. Yay!
Yes, that will be on the 21st. So
Yeah.
Mark your calendars.
Yeah.
Sure. Mark with Susan, then Marcia.
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome.
Okay. All right. And let's see. Go. All right.
Well, thank you. Oh, you mean Connie?
Yeah, I'm talking to her, not you. And sure enough, that little bad boy acted up today.
Thank you.
All right, you guys, don't forget to mute yourselves when you're finished.
Come on, come on. Come on.
All right, everybody, have a great week. Enjoy. Remember, today is not like yesterday. And tomorrow is a new day as well. Bye, y'all.